Hello everybody. Today we are going to look at how to do the constructions in GeoGebra. Now, this is what I am going to try to reconstruct. Um, GeoGebra has several advantages over Desmos, which we will kind of talk about as we go. It's just I'm more familiar with Desmos, hence why I tend to use it. Now I'm going to start off just by clearing everything so that we have a clean slate. Don't save, just clear. Okay, so the first thing that we need is we need a regular hexagon for my little design. Now, we could go through and do the circle and construct it that way, but if you notice down here, we actually have regular polygon. And I believe if we set the vertices to 6, it produces our regular hexagon. So there's our regular hexagon. Okay. Now, that was already something a little different than what we have been doing. But let's talk about how we can use some of the tools here. So I'm going to just draw a segment from F to C, and I'm going to draw a segment from B to E. I am doing this so that we have that center point right there, which I'm going to go ahead and make. So we have that point G there. Now, let's say I want to use the compass. Let's say I want to use some of the construction tools the way we have been. As soon as I find them, circle, show object midpoint, compass, compass, compass. I lost the compass. There we are, compass. Now, unlike Desmos, this one allows us to select either 2 points to form a radius or to select a segment. I'm going to select point G. I'm going to select point C. I'm going to put that there because I want to make my little arcs on here. Now, there's ways that we can go about it, but really we kind of want this circumcircular arc. And the reason for that is it behaves just like the one on Desmos did, in that you select a point and then you put a second point down and then you curve it to the third point. So I've created those two little side pieces on here. So I'm going to go ahead and hide a little bit of the stuff that we have to try to clean things up. Hopefully I have not left too much out of the design because remembering the design is not my forte. I'm also going to get rid of that line and that line. Okay, so this is what we have. Now, I did have 2 segments going through here. And I'm going to re-put segments on here, there to there, and there to there. That last one might be a little further than I want it. It is. Okay. So, in the design that I made, I had some stuff going on the inside. And really, this is one of the things that this program, GeoGebra, does better. I have an angle bisector button. So I can just select 3 points, let's say that, and that forms my bisector there. I'm going to do the same thing from there to there to there. Now, if you don't want to keep the entire angle bisector, that is fine. You can hide it. But what I'm going to do before I hide it is I'm going to make a segment from there to there and from there to there. So I'm using the angle bisector lines that they gave me to basically guide me as I move. Okay, so I now have this. I know I have a bunch of points labeled there, but this was mostly the diagram that I had. And if you notice, I have these curves here. And what I did was I made tangent lines. So it says select a point or a line, then circle, conic, or function. So I'm going to do that and that. Let's see, I need to put a point out. So I'm just going to put a point there. So my tangent, I select the point, I select the surface, and it gives me that. I'm going to try to do the same thing over here. You notice that it did not actually show up. But if I move this point around, I can make it to where it does show up. So I'm going to put the point right there. Okay. And then I'm going to put a segment from there to there, and from there to there. I'm going to now hide everything that I don't want. So I'm going to hide that. I'm going to hide that. I'm going to hide the interior there. Now, I don't want to actually hide those points necessarily. I was not expecting it to do that, so let me go back to show hide. I need that back in. I'm going to get my labels. As you can see, the part of this is just kind of playing around with the software itself. And honestly, that's the way that I would recommend you learn this type of stuff. Just play around with it. So this is, even though I know it wasn't the exact shape that I had, the shape that I am going to be with. Now, if you don't want the points there, that's perfectly fine. You can get rid of the points simply by selecting the ones you want to hide. I think that might have been all of them. That was enough of them. And we have this shape. Now, here is another thing or another advantage that GeoGebra has over Desmos. You have a export image option. And when I click on that, it does this. And when I download it, it automatically gives me a PNG of the geometric figure I've made. And that's something that's really helpful because we can manipulate PNGs fairly easily. Also, an advantage that it has over Desmos is we can do download as, and it gives us all of these options. We have a GeoGebra file, an SVG, PDF, a 3D print option, which can be fun. Now, I'm going to close that out and just kind of get back to a blank canvas because I want to show you one more thing. We have this algebra feature, and you can literally type lines in here. So like say from like -4 is less than or equal to x, which is less than or equal to -3. And I don't know if we're zoomed out enough for this to work. Yeah, we weren't zoomed out enough for that work. Okay, but what we can do, and I'll just put a couple of segments in here, maybe a circle. We like circles right there. And if I go to algebra, it put all of that stuff in for us. So we actually have a kind of algebraic record of what we have done. Anyway, I know that this is a lot. I know that it's new and it's different, but I promise if you play around with it, you will actually kind of start enjoying it. Um, Especially the fact that we have that 3D print option, given that our school now luckily has 3D printers. So we can make figures that we could potentially 3D print. And just getting used to the software and getting used to the mathematics behind it, and how everything works together. Anyway, that will do it for this video, and I will see you in the next one. Take care.